Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m, bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. And my word, are we really getting down to the important point of the season now? Theoretically, although it's not going to happen, 4 league titles could be decided, or all but decided, this weekend. So lots to go into and lots of permutations to have a look at, which is really why I enjoy this point of the season. Firstly, thank you for last week's show and sticking with me when my voice wasn't quite right. As you can tell, it's fine again now. It was one of those annoying sore throats that lasted all of about 2 days. And of course, it was the day that I wanted to film this. And so, yeah, it's we've got a lot to get through. But first of all, my cat wants to get out of the room. Come on then. And of course, now he's decided he doesn't want to go out. Go on. There we go. Right, now we can get straight back to it. So, there you go, a little caveat from my cat there. So, here we go then. Right, we'll start as we always do with the Northern Premier Division, because some really significant results in the form of the title race here. Let's start with Thursday. Nottingham Forest 5, West Bromwich Albion 0. An own goal from West Brom in the 11th minute put Forest in front. Then Amy West in the 32nd minute, Sophie Domingo in the 53rd, and 2 for May Moncaster, 56th and 63rd minute. 3 goals in 2 games now for May Moncaster. So really that 10-minute spell in the second half when Forest went from 2-0 in front to 5-0 in front really just killed the game off. Then we get into the weekend. Boldmere St Michael's with a 3-0 victory over Loughborough Lightning. A goal for Leonie Joyce in the 4th minute here. It was actually after Hayley Sutton in the 2nd minute put Boldmere in front. And she also got a second goal of the game as well, did Sutton. So 2 really early goals for Boldmere there. And that really just scuppered Loughborough, who of course were already down into Tier 4. Brighouse Town 2, West Bromwich Albion 0. Drew Green and Lucy Sowerby with the goals for Brighouse Town. AFC Fylde with a narrow 1-0 victory over Huddersfield Town. Faye McCoy, 7 minutes from the end this one, giving Fylde the victory. Big win for Burnley away at Stoke, 7-2. They win, bouncing back from that defeat to Forest. So Burnley only with 4 goals on the system here, so you might have to bear with me for a moment. So there was goals for Burnley. Sarah Greenhalgh in the 9th minute, Evie Priestley in the 12th minute, an own goal in the 15th minute. Then a penalty to Millie Grace Ravening in the 56th minute, and then again in the 66th minute. Laura Elford in the 67th minute, and Leah Jade Embley in the 81st minute. Goals for Stoke, Sophie Bramford in the 27th minute and Manuela Dell in the 79th minute. So 2 penalties and an own goal helping Burnley there with their victory over Stoke. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Liverpool Feds 1. Early goal for Wolves, Anna Morfitt in the 6th minute, putting them 1-0 in front. Naomi Badu in the 33rd minute then made it 2-0. But right after half-time, Liverpool Feds get one back. Paige Cole in the 46th minute made it 2-1. That is how it finished. So Wolves only gaining 1 goal in the goal difference column there. And then 1 result from Tuesday night and a brace for Beth Roberts as Wolves beat Boldmere St Michael's by 2-0. Now, what that means for the table is it's relatively as you were. Wolves and Burnley have been swapping for the last few weeks when they've been playing their games. So that's nothing different there. I mean, realistically, with Forest winning, even if Forest just win those 2 final games, let's just say 2-0 for example, that leaves Wolves needing to score 8-9 goals every game for the final 3 games, and they're just not going to do that. You know, had they been able to put 4 or 5 past Feds and 6 and 7 past Boldmere, or even get up close to double digits like Forest did against Boldmere, and that goal difference was kind of 50, 51 maybe, then it only takes, beating Derby by a few more goals than Forest beat Brighouse, and that gap is suddenly 6 or 7. Beat Burnley by the same scoreline, that gap is 3 or 4 goals, and then it just makes Forest just kind of nervously check their phone on the final day of the season as the game's going on. Whereas now, goal difference isn't a factor in the Northern Premier Division, in my opinion. I mean, Forest have got 2 games to go. They've only conceded 17 goals all season. They're not all of a sudden going to lose games and finish level on points with Wolves, but the goal difference is going to plummet. Forest have got 2 games to go, win them both. The title is theirs. Wolves and Burnley could theoretically still both be in a title race by the final day of the season, but it's more likely that one team won't be in that conversation come the final day. And it's possible, of course, if results go Forest's way this weekend, that nobody other than them is in the title race. If Forest, say for example, Forest win this weekend and they go to 53 points and Wolves and Burnley both draw, and then they draw next weekend when they play each other, the gap will be too big and Forest will have it sewn up before the final day of the season. Don't think that's going to happen. I think there is going to be one team as well as Forest in the discussion. But that's the first league where it could be decided this weekend. Because if Wolves lose and Forest win, it's a 6-point gap. Wolves have got 2 to go, but because of that goal difference, they're not going to make it up. So whilst it's not mathematically, while it's not definitely going to happen this weekend, because even if results go that way, because of the goal difference, you can't say Forest are champions. It could be, you know what I mean? It could be the situation where Forest are like, okay, it could be a Stourbridge situation, for example, and we'll get onto that in a moment. Right, run-ins, again, very briefly. So this weekend, Forest away at Brighouse, Wolves with Derby at home, Burnley away at West Brom. Burnley shouldn't have any difficulties. Wolves at home shouldn't, but I don't think they're going to score many goals. Forest away at Brighouse, that's the one which I think is just, it's a banana skin for Forest, really. Then on the 23rd, Burnley and Wolves play each other. Forest are in the cup final against Watford. Then on the final day, Wolves have Brighouse away, which cancels out Forest's Brighouse away. Forest are at home to Stoke. Burnley are at home to Liverpool Feds. At the bottom, so West Bromwich Albion have got games in hand, of course. They've got Burnley this weekend. Then they've got Loughborough away. Now that you would think is 3 points for West Brom, which would put them on 22. And because of the goal difference, again, would make them all but safe, all but goal difference safe in the Northern Premier Division. So then you're looking at between Boldmere, Liverpool Feds, who aren't playing, but then neither are Boldmere, and Filed. Just seeing there's a slight out. What I didn't do is changed. I didn't change Liverpool Feds' and Filed's games. Liverpool Feds, don't listen to that. Liverpool Feds have got Boldmere at home on the 23rd. And then they've got Burnley away on the 30th. So it is going to come down between a Liverpool Feds Boldmere tie, I would think. Ignore that Liverpool Feds column. I obviously changed Filed out of it and forgot to change the fixtures. So I do apologise for that. No, make an error, put my hands up. And at least then everyone knows what's happening and what the situation is. Right, let's go look at the Southern Premier Division then. Results in this one. Cheltenham Town 0, Portsmouth 3, Crawley Wasps 1, Oxford United 3. So again, the teams towards the top doing what they need to do. Portsmouth beating Cheltenham by 3 goals to 0. Tierney Scott, 25th minute, Annie Roll, 32nd minute, and Sophie Quirk, 38th minute. So 3-0 by half-time. Portsmouth did what they needed to do. Oxford beat Crawley by 3 goals to 1. Amy Goddard in the 3rd minute. Natasha Stevens in the 19th minute. And an opposition own goal in the 47th minute provided Oxford's goals. A penalty to Oana Elena Negra for Crawley was their only goal, but it doesn't say when that penalty was. Watford 5-1 winners over Bridgewater United. A hat-trick here. Oh, it was actually 4 goals for Helen Ward, I seem to remember. And this one was played at Vicarage Road, so I'm guessing there's a penalty in there somewhere. Yes, there is. So 36th minute. Well, Watford take the lead in the 31st minute, Annie Lee Rossiter. Helen Ward then in the 36th minute gets her first goal of the game. She then gets her second in the 81st minute, and then what a stoppage time this was. So it's 2-0 at that point. Bridgewater United get one back in the 91st minute, Bethany Everson with the goal for that one. And then Helen Ward in the 93rd minute puts Watford in front again. And then in the 94th minute, Helen Ward gets her 4th of the game. So penalty in the first half to make it 2-0. 3-0 then, wasn't it? Because Helen Ward in the 81st minute. Everson gets one back for Bridgewater United to make it 3-1. And the 93rd and 94th minute, Helen Ward, it's 5-1 to Watford at Vicarage Road and 4 goals for Ward. Gillingham 2, London Bees 1. So 2-1 win for Gillingham here. Vicky Ashton-Jones and Letita Nichols with the goals for Gillingham. Bolu Fisher, the scorer for London Bees. Milton Keynes Dons 3, Plymouth Argyle 1. Plymouth haven't announced their lineup yet, so don't know who scored their goal. But Molly Cooper, Tricia Hannah Gold, and Laura Mitchell with the goals for Milton Keynes Dons. And Watford against Oxford United, which was meant to be played last night, was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. What it means is that Oxford have got a lot of games to fit into the end of the season, that's for sure. They've got games against Ipswich and Watford to fit in now after they were postponed. No idea really when they're going to be, only that the Ipswich game you would think would have to be at a weekend because it's a long old trek for Oxford to go midweek. But there aren't any free weekends. So do the league reluctantly have to pull that game into May? Maybe. I can't see what else they're going to be able to do. Watford, there are 2 midweek fixture slots available where they could try again with Watford, which obviously should have been midweek yesterday. So, Watford could be midweek. They could squeeze that one in. It's just that Ipswich game. And it's because Oxford, once again, it's the County Cup that have really messed the league up, because Oxford are in the County Cup final in what is going to be an extremely one-sided County Cup final for Oxford. Oxford United, top of Tier 3, coming up in their County Cup final. Let me just bring it up again. Against East Oxford Ladies. That's not going to be a competitive fixture. But Ipswich aren't playing on the 23rd. So if Oxford weren't in the County Cup final, they could have played it there. But the County Cup final has really just messed the league up here. So I can only see it's going to have to be put into May. It's not been put on full time yet. But it seems to be the only option that the league have is that Oxford Ipswich is in May, and Oxford Watford, they're going to have to try and get into a midweek somewhere and do that. But that's the important thing with that, is that that's could well be a game that decides the title being played, beyond the last day of the season, if that indeed is what the league decided to do. I don't really see that they've got any other option, in all honesty, because, Oxford can't even play their reserves in the County Cup final. They would probably still win, no disrespect to East Oxford Ladies. But they can't even do that because the reserves are in the reserve cup final at the Pirelli. So Oxford really have no options here. So it'll be interesting to see what the league do on that one. In terms of the league table, Ipswich are down a couple of places because Oxford and Watford won. It is so tight at the top of the Southern Premier Division table. Oxford, Watford, Ipswich, Portsmouth, all separated by 2 points. Oxford have the advantage of the game in hand. However, they've got 4 games left to go, and they've got Watford, Ipswich and Portsmouth, so they've got by far the most difficult run-in. MK Dons and Gillingham up a couple of places. Billericay Town down 2. Of course, they're safe as well. Anybody over 20 points safe in the Southern Premier Division. So both of the promoted sides from Tier 4 last season have survived in Tier 3. Bridgewater United, 2 games to go. Plymouth Argyle, 2 games to go. And London Bees, 3 games to go. They're the only sides that are contesting the Southern Premier Division second relegation spot. Again, apologies. I've really not done very well this week, have I? I do apologise. Crawley Wasps, I haven't put an R against their name. They are already relegated. They can get to a maximum of 13, so they're already guaranteed to be bottom of the table. Oxford beating them last weekend has decided their fate. So if we have a look at the Southern running, then here's the running at the top. Doesn't really tell you a huge amount. As I said, because Oxford, they've got Portsmouth away, Gillingham at home, but they've also got a Watford game to fit in away and an Ipswich game to fit in away. So Watford have got London Bees at home and Billericay away, but then they've got Oxford as well. And Ipswich have got MK Dons and Cheltenham, but they've got Oxford as well. So Southern Premier Division running doesn't really look and give you much information at the moment. At the bottom, this is where it's key. So London Bees have got Watford this weekend. Plymouth have got Billericay this weekend. And Bridgewater aren't playing. I still believe that the second relegation spot in the Southern Premier Division is going to be decided with those back-to-back games between London Bees and Bridgewater United. Because London Bees have the points advantage at the moment, but they don't have the goal difference advantage. I can't see London Bees beating Watford, funnily enough. So for me, it's going to come down to those two games. Now, Bridgewater United know if they win one of those games, then they'll overtake London Bees. It has to be the first game, obviously. London Bees know if they win one of those games, then they're going to be safe. But I do think it's going to come down to those two teams. But don't forget, if Plymouth Argyle do nothing, and London Bees and Bridgewater win one and lose one each, then it's Plymouth that will be relegated. So a lot still to be decided in the Southern Premier Division. Let's go down to Tier 4 and we'll have a look at the Division 1 North. Only 4 games to look at here. Bradford City 0, York City 1. Abbey Parkin with a 93rd minute winner for York City. Really important 3 points for them, actually. Hull City 2, Newcastle United 2. This is huge towards the top as well. 1-1 at half-time. Georgia Gibson in the 17th minute for Newcastle. Freya Bales in the 73rd minute with their 2 goals. Hope Knight and Katie Thompson with the goals for Hull City. The reason that this was so important is that Hope Knight from the penalty spot equalised for Hull City in the 95th minute and forced Newcastle to drop points, which means Newcastle have lost their advantage at the top. Again, we'll come on to it shortly. Middlesbrough 2, Leeds United 2. Jessica Dawson and Armani Maxwell with the goals for Middlesbrough. Paige Williams, 73rd minute. Catherine Smith, 80th minute with the goals for Leeds United. So 2-2 there. And Norton Stockton Ancients beating Stockport County by 1-0. Chloe West in the 37th minute, the only goal of that game. Northern Premier Division table then looks like this. Durham Sestra on 20 games played on 50 points. Newcastle now 18 games played on 44 points. So Newcastle, with that draw with Hull, have lost the points advantage. So it could well come down to goal difference at the top of Division 1 North. Stockport in third, obviously too far back now. Norton Stockton Ancients up and over Leeds are well safe as well. Bradford City are a max of 24, so Leeds are safe. Chorley, Middlesbrough, York theoretically could still be dragged into it, but it was a huge 3 points for York City to lift themselves up and over Bradford. The reason that was so important is if we look at the Division 1 North running, we'll start at the top, but it tells the picture at the bottom as well. Bradford's final 2 games are back-to-back with Newcastle. Now, Newcastle, of course, really need to make all their games count now because they cannot afford to slip up again if they want to get over Durham Sestra. Durham Sestra Leeds at home this weekend while Newcastle have Bradford. Then Newcastle have Leeds away. Then on the 30th, Chorley against Bradford. Now, the postponed game between Newcastle and Barnsley has been put in on May the 7th. So, again, we're in a situation here where Newcastle could go into the final day, or their final day, against Barnsley, knowing that a win by 4 goals, let's say, random number off the top of my head, wins them the title, and there's nothing that Durham can do about it. So that's the situation there. Again, it was another one where the league don't really want to push it into May, but they did not have a choice because there just wasn't game days. There just weren't game days available because they're only midweek available. Barnsley are already playing. They're playing Leeds, as Leeds try to get 20,000 games into 4 weeks, it seems. So that's the situation at the top. At the bottom, again, it's very similar. So Bradford, they need to get themselves at least 2 points here now. They need to get themselves 2 points. In fact, actually 2 points won't do it. 2 points, yeah. I mean, so they're 1 goal behind York City at the moment in the goal difference. So if they got a draw, if they got 2 draws, it would mean York have to lose their game, of course. But if York only lost by 1 goal, York would stay up on goals scored. So, because they've scored 7 more than Bradford at the moment. So unless Bradford had like 2 4-all draws, it's just going to be very difficult for Bradford now, I feel, because they've got back-to-back games against Newcastle going for the title, and that's what they need to stay up. So it will be tough for them. York, of course, who came up last season, may just hang on by the skin of their teeth, really. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think, obviously, York not playing now until the final day of the season. Middlesbrough can make themselves safe. Newcastle, if they beat Bradford, would really make it difficult. So we'll just have to see what the situation is there in Division 1 North. Let's go to Division 1 Midlands, because there's a lot to talk about in Division 1 Midlands. An awful lot, including minus 32 goals for Long Eaton United. So, plenty to talk about here. Let's start then with that game from last Thursday. Sheffield 19, Long Eaton United 0. This is going to take a while. So, it's actually not going to be too bad. 7 goals for Ellie May, 5 for Molly Waite, a hat-trick for Mariah McIntosh, 2 for Stacey Buxton and 1 for Alex O'Neill. That makes 18 of the 19 goals. It's going to take me a while to find number 19 here, isn't it? I can tell. Doesn't say. There's 1 goal that hasn't been attributed to anybody, so that's why. But 19-0 Sheffield beat Long Eaton United. Then on Thursday, important one. We said that Stourbridge could win the league last week. But then on Thursday last week, a 1-1 draw with Solihull Moors put pay to that for another week. Eva Rogers with the goal for Solihull, and a penalty in the 96th minute to Lois Jeffries meant that Stourbridge got at least 1 point from that game. As we'll see when we look at the table, it's kind of immaterial because of what happened at the weekend. Lincoln City 2, Northampton Town 1, Madison Green with the goal for Lincoln City. That's the only one that's been put on the system. Oh, an opposition own goal, as well for Lincoln City. No information about Northampton. Peterborough 3, Solihull Moors 0. Goals in this one, Keir Perkins, 25th minute, Neve Connor, 37th. And Rachel Lawrence in the 77th minute. Then the other important game at the top, Sporting Cowser 1, Doncaster Rovers Bells 1. Molly Barlow with the goal for Doncaster Rovers Bells in the second half. Megan Cann had put Sporting Cowser in front. But a draw for Doncaster Rovers Bells obviously cancelled out the draw for Stourbridge. And with Stourbridge winning by 3-1 against Sheffield, with goals from Millie Rogers, Lois Jeffries, and a penalty to Lois Jeffries as well, so 2 for her. Brooke Smith with the only goal for Sheffield. It means that Stourbridge are so close to that title now. Leek Town beating Wem Town by 1-0. 88th minute, Paris O'Connor. Really important goal that is. We'll have a look at the table in a moment. And then Sporting Cowser beating Long Eaton by 13-0 last night. 4 for Rebecca Hall, 4 for Sky Owen, 2 for Olivia Woolston, 1 for Stacey Garner, Megan Cann, and Michelle McCormick. So not a good week for Long Eaton, who of course are already down. What it means for the table, Stourbridge are champions-elect. Reason I say that, Stourbridge are 12 points clear. Don't worry about Sporting Cowser, who are in second but unlikely to stay there because they've played 21. Doncaster Rovers Bells, the only team that can catch Stourbridge, need to win all 4 of their games and hope Stourbridge lose all 3 of their games and overturn a 48 goal difference deficit, which is just not going to happen, is it? So Stourbridge, champions-elect. Down towards the bottom, Wemtown are all but relegated now. They are 6 points away from safety with 6 to play for, and they've got to overturn a goal difference that's 11 against them. So not only have they got to win 2 games, they've got to win them by scoring a good 10, 11 goals, really, and rely on Leek Town losing. Now, they've scored 31 goals all season. Are they going to score 10 in the final 2 games? It looks unlikely if we have a look at the run-in. Not going to lie, I've taken the run-in at the top off because it seems a little bit immaterial now. Neither of these 2 teams are playing this weekend, so I'll only just touch on this. But Wemtown have to win both of their games, and they've got Doncaster, which is unlikely to result in a Wemtown victory. Sheffield away on the final day may do, but it seems that it may well be immaterial at that point. Right, let's look at Division 1 South East. So that's your second league, by the way, that could be decided this weekend, in theory. Right, Division 1 South East, just 3 results to look at. Actonians 2, London Seaward 2. Alessandra Barreca, 44th minute. Sophie Bajent, 52nd minute with the goals for Actonians. Catherine Long and Persis Oteng, the scorers for London Seaward. Another draw for them. Ashford Town 0, Hashtag United 3. Another victory for Hashtag. Samantha Rowland, 7th minute. Emma Samways, 25th minute. Malika Apinda-Gill, 76th minute. What seems like a very comfortable victory for Hashtag. And Chesham United 1, Queen's Park Rangers 2. Matfilid Bellew in the 49th minute put Chesham in front. But 2 goals late on for QPR. Chloe Gunn, 87th minute. Francesca Webster in the 95th minute made it a victory for Queen's Park Rangers by 2 goals to 1. What it means for the table, not a great deal. It hasn't done all for the last few weeks, really. Actonians and Ashford keep swapping places. Everybody else is relatively set in where they are. Cambridge City at the bottom, they've only got 1 game to go. Chesham United have 3 games to go, but they're 5 points away from Cambridge, who in terms of 8 points away from QPR, who are 4 points away from Ashford and Actonians. So you can see why there's no real movement in South East. Still, though, at the top there, Hashtag United and Wimbledon, 2 games to go each, a 4-point gap. This is another table that could be decided this weekend, because if Wimbledon lose to Cambridge United, Hashtag will have the league, and they've got back-to-back with QPR to finish their season off. If Wimbledon do beat Cambridge, which you think they're probably likely to do, it seems very likely that Hashtag will get what they need against QPR. But again, another league where it's possible that it is decided this weekend. Finally then, Division 1 South West, just 2 games to talk about because Moneyfields against St Austell was postponed because St Austell couldn't raise a team. Southampton Women's 2, Maidenhead United 1. Shannon Sivright with one of the goals for Southampton Women. There's only 1 on there, so I assume there's a penalty or an own goal somewhere. Own goal in the 92nd minute gave Southampton the victory. Megan Halfacree had scored for Maidenhead United in the 19th minute, but a 92nd minute own goal means Southampton get the victory. And Exeter City 4 away at Swindon Town. Swindon had Jennifer Gray sent off, which wouldn't have helped them at all. But Molly Taylor, 29th minute, Jenna Markham, 39th minute, Zoe Watkins, 76th, and Sarah Stacey in the 86th minute with the goals. For Exeter City mean they win by 4-0. What it means for the table, obviously Cardiff didn't play. Not many teams did. So Southampton women, there's been no movement at all, let's put it that way. Southampton women's remain in 5th. Maidenhead United remain on the cusp of relegation, but they are 8 points clear of Larkhall. Larkhall have 4 games to go. And they have to play Cardiff and Bournemouth. So I think it's very difficult for Larkhall. I mean, with the goal difference as well, they need to win 3 of their last 4. And it looks very unlikely to happen. Exeter City at the top. They are 9 points clear of Cardiff. Cardiff have 3 games in hand. 2 of those are this week. In fact, one of which is tonight. And this is the final league we're going to look at. But also a league where, in theory, again, it could be decided this week. If Cardiff lose all 3 of their games this week, or, they're 9 points behind at the minute. If they lose, and Exeter are playing this weekend, so Exeter could be on to 55. And then Cardiff, by the time we do next week's show, will only have 2 games to go. So Cardiff need to be on 49. They need to win 2 of their 3 games this week to keep that pressure on. So, again, it could be that Division 1 Southwest is also decided this weekend. Right, that's all of the results gone through. So let's now have a look at the fixtures coming up this weekend. Now, we're going to have a look at the run-in. This is what I've said again. Cardiff, Portishead away, Moneyfields away, Larkhall away, all in this week before next week's show. I think Moneyfields away is the one where Cardiff may well slip up. Exeter have got Chelsea at home, Swindon at home. So not only do they have far fewer games to cram in than Cardiff, but they have no more travelling this season as well. My gut instinct says it's going to fall Exeter's way. Right, now let's have a look at the fixtures coming up this weekend. Only 4 in the Northern Premier Division, but they involve the teams at the top. So Forest are away at Brighouse Town. That's obviously 5th against 1st. Stoke against Huddersfield is 6th against 8th. Neither of those sides have anything to play for, but Huddersfield with a win would see themselves mathematically safe. West Bromwich Albion are in 10th, host Burnley in 3rd, and Wolves against Derby is 2nd against 4th. So Wolves against Derby is the big game to keep an eye on for me this weekend, because I think it's the most likely game that's going to have an impact on the title race, because I think Derby are the more likely team to take points off Wolves than Brighouse are to take points off Forest. But I don't think it's going to feel a particularly comfortable afternoon for Forest either. Southern Premier Division then, 5 games to look at. Billericay Town against Plymouth Argyle. That is 7th against 10th. Cheltenham Town against Crawley Wasps, 8th against 12th. Milton Keynes Dons take on Ipswich Town, that's 5th against 3rd. Portsmouth against Oxford United is 4th against 1st. And Watford against London Bees is 2nd against 9th. So it could be, again, very important weekend. Let's say, for example, again, not really sure it's going to happen, but Plymouth Argyle beat Billericay Town, that could. But if London Bees as well beat Watford, makes life so much more difficult for Bridgewater, who will then have to win both of their games to finish the season to stay up. Division 1 North, right, game tonight, Hull City against Leeds. Then at the weekend, Durham take on Leeds. As I say, Leeds just playing so much at the moment. Hull take on Chorley, that's 5th against 8th. Middlesbrough Barnsley is 9th against 4th. Newcastle against Bradford, 2nd against 11th. Norton Stockton Ancients take on Merseyrail. Merseyrail, of course, already down. And then in the week, next week, Leeds United take on Barnsley. Leeds currently 7th, Barnsley 4th. So, again, Durham taking on Leeds, 1st against 7th. Newcastle 2nd against 11th. So, you think Newcastle have got it a bit easier this weekend, but Durham, I'm expecting, should get past Leeds as well. Division 1 Midlands, I do hope that the league will be taking the trophy to Stourbridge because they only need a point to secure the title. So Stourbridge at home to Northampton Town, who are in 5th. Leafield, who are in 6th, against Doncaster Rovers Bells in 3rd. Peterborough United against Sheffield is 4th against 8th. Solihull Moors take on Lincoln City. That's 7th against 9th. Again, Wem Town, Leek Town not playing this weekend. It's literally between those two at the bottom. And I think it's all sorted out the top. Division 1 South East then, as I said, Wimbledon take on Cambridge United. That's the game Wimbledon have to win. A draw isn't good enough because of the goal difference. Norwich City against Ashford Town, 4th against 6th. Queen's Park Rangers against Chesham, 7th against 9th. London Seawood against Actonians, 3rd against 5th. Of course, all those games are immaterial apart from that Wimbledon game. And a lot to talk about in South West to finish this week's show up. Portishead Town against Cardiff City tonight. AFC Bournemouth against Maidenhead United, 4th against 10th at the weekend. AFC Austell against Larkhall Athletic, the bottom two. If Austell were to get a win in that game, it would really scupper Larkhall Athletic's chances of staying up. Exeter City against Chelsea, 1st against 7th. Moneyfields host Cardiff. That's 3rd against 2nd. That's the game that my gut instinct says that Cardiff may struggle with. Southampton Women's against Keynsham Town, 5th against 8th. Swindon Town take on Portishead, 6th against 9th. Larkhall Athletic against Cardiff City, 11th against 2nd. And then next week, Portishead Town against Keynsham Town, 9th against 8th. So Larkhall Athletic need to beat Austell. That'll put them on 12 points. Then they need to hope that they can get something against Cardiff. Should they lose to Austell and then lose to Cardiff, then the bottom of South West will be decided this week as well. So we really are getting to the crunch time in the season. 4 titles could theoretically be all but decided this weekend. Relegations could as well. There's plenty to keep your eye on. So wherever you are, don't forget to keep supporting your local women's football team. Check before you travel because it is meant to keep showering and other nasty stuff that's causing postponement of games. So yeah, do check before you travel because there might be changes of venues like the Portishead Cardiff game tonight. But keep supporting your local women's football team. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, and goodbye.